Right, welcome ladies and gents. South Park joining the Panderverse. I watched this yesterday when it was released via a VPN. You can now watch it today in the UK, apparently anyway. So this was a fantastic episode, and it showcases expertly what South Park is so very good at, and professionals in satire, taking the piss out of both sides. Because that's what they do in this episode. They expertly, I might be using this word a little bit too many times during this review, but they skewer Kathleen Kennedy in a very proficient manner, whilst also taking a jab out of the anti-woke YouTubers and the sort of anti-woke complainers, generally speaking. Now, those people will generally be put into the right-hand side of the aisle, and satire, when you can appreciate both sides, generally speaking, centrist. 9 times out of 10. It's not a given rule, of course, but that's what they do in this episode. Now, don't get me wrong, they tear the ever-living shit out of Kathleen Kennedy. They really do skewer her massively. And the entire epidemic within Hollywood of lazy storytelling. Just swapping people out for black versions, gay versions, women, making it all lame. I mean, the episode quite literally says, put a chicken in it, make it gay, and make it lame. That's what comes from Kathleen Kennedy. And it's hilarious, because that is the narrative within Hollywood. But equally so, they take a massive shit on everyone that is consistently complaining about it. To the nth degree, if that makes sense. You know, the over-complainers, as it were. Which I'm sure many people watching this would probably think I fall into that category. And, you know, that's perspective. You may very well be right. I'm not here to convince you otherwise. But they do such a great job of this. And it's a real rip on Disney in general. I mean, they even highlight how their stocks go down and down and down and down. And Bob Iger's like, no, you know, in Cartman voice. And Kathleen Kennedy's like, no, put a chicken in it and make it gay and lame. And it's just consistent. Now, the other thing which I thought was really good about it and really quite smart about this episode was the commentary on multiverses being the thing that they're doing now. Everyone's doing, and the incredibly lame approach to multiverses. Just, they've just got a change of clothes. At one point, Stan's dad, Randy Marsh, literally goes through a bunch of multiverses, and all that changes is his clothes. And they even make a comment on it. Imagine an infinite timeline, an infinite universes where an infinite combination of pants and shirts, and you're just like, that is basically what they do with the multiverse right now. It is so incredibly lame and pathetic. Out of all of the things you could do with a multiverse, that's the approach. And it's lazy storytelling. We know it, we've seen it. That's what comic book movies are doing now. That's all they're doing. It's incredibly boring, it's incredibly dull, and it's pathetic. And it's just created bankruptcy. But again, what I really liked about it, and it is, you know, it's I guess, you know, what I like about South Park, and I've always liked South Park, we don't talk about it here on the channel, but what I've always liked about South Park is the ability to take the piss out of both sides. And also, you know, come to the conclusion that there's benefits to each side's argument unless you go to the extreme, which is quite literally what this message is. You know, it's okay in small doses doing bits and pieces here and there, you know, including more and more diversity here and there. Absolutely. I mean, I've said that here on this channel many times. There's never an issue with that, but it's when that's the sole thing. You know, we all know it, because when something new gets announced, it's like, well, spot the diversity hire and spot what they've just changed to include that diversity hire. And half the time I've stopped complaining about it, because I just go, well, of course they did. It's that approach nowadays. It's so transparent and lame. But I really like how they highlight that. You know, going to that extreme, just constantly relying on that as the thing to make money. Like, you know, we did it once, it made money. Let's just do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And the Disney stocks are going, and Bob Iger's like, no. Absolute comedy gold. comedy gold. They also make a point of, critiquing AI and people's ability to not be able to do anything either in this day and age. But it was a fantastic episode. And you'll find a lot of people commenting on this will only be commenting on the perspective of, well, they're just taking the piss out of Kathleen Kennedy. And if you spot anyone saying that they're only taking the piss out of Kathleen Kennedy, they've got some blinkers on. Massive blinkers, because they really do take the piss out of anti-woke YouTubers. And I mean, they really, really, really do. Because the entire narrative is spawned because of the anti-woke agenda critiquing the overly woke agenda. And then that cancelling one another out and creating a massive monster. And the monster is literally Eric Cartman with long hair, Kathleen Kennedy from another universe, basically. Essentially being like some weird alien with a mother for a bug or stuff like this. It's very bizarre. I mean, it's very funny, but they do take they go to the extreme of calling out the sort of anti-woke narrative, which I think is absolutely pertinent. Like, I think there's a reason to point that out as an issue here and there, because more often than not, well, not more often than not, but very often, those individuals do comment on these types of things rashly. One I like to point out, and this isn't a dig at him, and I'm not saying he's an anti-woke YouTuber either, but this is the narrative that's been spawned from the woke agenda and the anti-woke agenda. Take Prey, for instance, and I know loads of people will roll their eyes and go, yeah, but that is... Okay. But someone who pulled, drew their reins back in from claiming it to just be a woke shitfest was the Critical Drinker. He saw the trailer, commented on it, he watched the film, and he'd gone back on his opinion. And I'm not saying he's an anti-woke YouTuber, but it's that narrative which is more often than not, it blinkers people to actual good storylines. You can have strong females that work. There are many famous strong females that work, and they're fantastic in film. And more often than not, as a result of this woke agenda, the anti-woke agenda jumps the gun. Again, it's not, I say more often than not, it's just turn of phrase. It's actually not more often than not, because most people jump the gun and it's perfectly reasonable to do so. But I liked that South Park called that out. And you'll find that a lot of these people that will be reviewing this episode, or this special event, because it's not allowed to be called an episode now to do with rights, and they're not allowed to do seasons anymore either, or something like that. Those individuals will not point that out because they were blinkered to it. They were blinded by that. They're sort of, again, in fairness, blinded by their hatred of Kathleen Kennedy and the woke agenda to not even point out or realise that they're being mocked in this special event. But I really liked this. I genuinely really, really, really liked it. It's very, very funny. And generally speaking online, like, I've got a whole bunch of tabs open to me now. Most people realise it, they literally, Forbes, for instance, they quite literally say the 47-minute episode is able to call out Disney's laziness and the general laziness to token diversity, over-reliance on the multiverse, and so forth, whilst also taking jabs at the other side of the aisle. And I really like the fact that a lot of the online discourse about this, a lot of it, not all of it, has understood the satire. So it's a fantastic episode. It rips the ever-loving piss out of Kathleen Kennedy. And I also like the fact it addresses the jumping the gun of the anti-woke agenda. So if you've seen it, let me know what you think. I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with this review, but I would hasten you to take another look at the episode, because if you disagree that it's taking the piss out of the anti-woke agenda, you may find yourself a little bit wrong there. So anyway, let me know what you think down below. Cheers guys, take care, bye bye now.